And welcome, my name is Charlie Roscoe, and I've been getting stuck right into the new Gran Turismo Sport. I thought I would give you my early impressions thus far, as I know there are a heap of people out there wondering if it's worth buying or not. But just before I do, I'll explain a bit about what you're watching. There are track challenges available to help you learn all the tracks. It's quite simple. You set a lap time. If you're fast enough, you get a gold, silver, bronze, or you fail. This is the Nordschleife challenge, and my first attempt was only good enough for a second, so this is my second attempt. The gold time's actually pretty generous, as you'll see. This was by no means a perfect lap. Lots of braking too early, lots of being in the wrong gear. But I do already know the track, so some track knowledge is probably going to be required to get that gold. Moving on to my early impressions of Gran Turismo Sport, obviously my thoughts can and likely will change as time goes by, but I'll start with the pros and finish with the cons. The first thing I noticed was how impressive the visuals are. I mainly race on PC, so I didn't hold out too many hopes of being impressed by PS4 graphics. However, I was immediately greeted with a very impressive intro video. I genuinely tip my hat to the team that created it. It's longer than you might expect, and the use of stunningly rendered clips and real historical motorsport footage, well edited under a great choice of music, really stirs up a passion and gets you pumped to race. This all could have been let down, of course, by poor in-game graphics, but I'm happy to say that the car models look top-notch. The tracks generally look pretty detailed and colourful. This can cause some tracks to look a little bit cartoony in certain time of day lighting conditions, but for the most part, a very good looking racing sim. If you've played previous Gran Turismos, you'll probably agree with me that the car sounds and sound effects have been one of the worst parts of the series. The community was very vocal on this topic after Gran Turismo 6, and Polyphony Digital has heard these complaints and clearly worked very hard on them. Each car has a unique sound and accurate to their real-life counterparts. They even remind you of the work they put in by playing a revving sound during the loading screen, and that changes to the car that you're running in that race. The two most important aspects of racing sims these days are the car physics and its online capabilities, and it's in this area that I believe has seen the most attention by the developers. The car physics feel so different from previous Gran Turismos in the best possible way. I feel that they are now on par with other highly regarded racing sims, and every car has a unique feel, even when they're from the same category. In regards to the online functionality, they have, as you might expect, brought back the typical custom server browser type setup, where people can create a race at any track, even if you haven't unlocked it yet, but you are limited to selecting cars you've already won or purchased. They've also added a new sports mode, which I won't go into too much detail as there are millions of other videos and articles dedicated to explaining it, but in essence, it's aimed at taking online racing more serious and help put Gran Turismo at the forefront of esports. The system is reminiscent of iRacing's licensing setup, whereby these races give and remove sportsmanship points based on how you behave around other cars and how clean your individual laps and races are. You also get a 15-minute solo quali session before matchmaking takes place, which helps match you against other similarly skilled players. Looking forward, once people have sorted their sportsmanship rating out, the idea is that it will be easier to get the same rated drivers racing each other. Moving on to the more negative aspects of GT Sports, the game does lack depth. If we compare it to its most recent competitor, Project Cars 2, which has 46 tracks compared to Gran Turismo, which has 19. The most concerning thing for me is that whilst this number already sounds bad enough, only 6 of these are real life locations, and that's counting Nürburgring and Nordschleife as 2 separate tracks. And whilst the car count looks a lot better, 180 for Project Cars and 162 for GT Sports, the list itself lacks variety. Project Cars gives you all the main categories of open-wheeled cars, Le Mans prototypes, GT, track day and road cars. When you ignore the numbers and just look at the GT Sports car list, you'll see a lot of the same cars just in different categories and a real lack of variety. You wouldn't mind all this so much if GT Sports was only 60 to 70% of the cost of P cars, but they are the same price point. Finally, one of the main complaints I hear about Gran Turismo is that there is a very limited single player activities and even less you can do offline. Whilst I completely agree with these complaints, it's just not something I care about myself. I don't think single player was what this game was even supposed to be about, and to be fair, they did announce long before the game released it wasn't going to have much in the way of single player features. Overall, I'm thoroughly enjoying my time in Gran Turismo and look forward to putting in plenty more hours, plus I'm keen to see how these FIA sanctioned events go when they are finally released. However, if Polyphony want Gran Turismo Sport to be a long-term success, they are going to need to pour plenty more content into the title, and I'd suggest they need to give at least some of it to us for free. Anyway, I want to say a big thank you to those of you still watching. It's by no means my final review, but hopefully you're able to get some useful info from it. And if you did, a like would be massively appreciated. And of course, please hit subscribe to see more. Now, I'm going to leave you with the remainder of this lap. Just in case you were watching that, I'll bring the audio back up and leave you with that. So thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.